Hello and welcome to another rowing coaching video. Today's video, I'm going to put this out on October 31st. And October 31st is an important date for me because it marks the day that my dad passed away. For those of you that don't know or haven't read the blog, my dad took his own life on October 31st, 2008. So I think this is an important video, if nothing else, to raise awareness of suicide. And if those of you watching this have experience with it, then maybe you know what it's been like for me over the last 10 years to kind of come to terms with this. And you know, that obviously, you know, the day brings up sad memories, but I want to talk a little bit today about a story and just kind of remember my father in a very positive way. And you know, my father was very, very important to me, and he taught me an awful lot. And the more I grow and the more I mature, the more I realize how much of an impact he had on me, which I know sounds kind of like an obvious thing, but as I get older, I kind of see things maybe the way he saw them. And you know, in 2008, when he died, we had just had Emily, and so he never actually got to meet her in person, but she is almost 10 years old now. So obviously there's lots of things that are important about the last 10 years. But one of the stories I have in this being a rowing channel, I thought that this was an important one to record, is I remember it was the end of my lower sixth form year. That would be 11th grade, to translate into US grade levels. And I was at the junior national team trials. This was taking place, you know, about mid-July, early to mid-July, right after Hanley. And for those of you who don't know how the junior national team is selected in Great Britain, we do an awful lot of seat racing, probably very similar to other countries as well. And we race in straight fours, coxless fours, and coxed fours. And the seat races can be, you know, 1,000 meters to 1,500 meters in length. And you know, we do lots of those, and it's very, very, very intense, and it's very tiring, and it's also very mentally challenging, just to kind of perform at your best and fight for your seat on the junior national team. And in Great Britain, we have the Coupe de la Jeunesse. So the way that the Great Britain team is selected, at least the years that I was there, was that every sweep boat was represented: cox pair, coxless pair, straight four, coxless four, cox four, and 8. And I was about 3 or 4 days into this seat racing. I think I'd probably done about anywhere between 50 to 20 1,000 meter pieces during that time. So I was absolutely exhausted. And you know, this was an important point because, you know, I'd set the goal a year before that, when I was 16, to make the junior national team. And I knew I wasn't really going to go to the World Championships and win a medal necessarily, but I wanted to make the team and represent my country. So it was about 3 or 4 days into the seat racing. I was exhausted, and to be honest with you, about ready to throw the towel in. I remember talking to my father, and I called him up, and I told him kind of where I was at. And he told me something that has stayed with me for a long time. My father, you know, in some of his earlier years, was into hiking and mountain climbing and things like that. And he told me that it was important to, you know, once you get near the peak of something, to appreciate how far that you've come in doing something. And it was important to acknowledge the distance that you'd traveled and the fact that, typically you're always feeling very tired when you're close to the peak, you're close to meeting the goal and climbing that mountain. And it was really just what I needed to hear at that particular point in time. There was a lesson in there that has stuck with me for a long time. And the next day, I got in a straight four, and I was seat raced against somebody, and this other person was Fred Scarlett, who ultimately went on to row in the 7 seat of the Olympic 8, the Great Britain Olympic 8 that won a gold medal at the Sydney Olympics in 2000. But this was obviously some time before that, and I was seat raced with him, and it was very, very close. We went down, and we fought all the way down, and I actually ended up winning the seat race by 0.9 seconds, which in seat racing terms, I think it was considered that anything less than 2 seconds was inconclusive. But the seat race proved very decisive, because that year I ended up getting selected in the 10th spot on the bow side or starboard side for the US, and Fred ended up going to the coupe. So I was fortunate enough to get that place on the junior national team by 0.9 seconds. I don't know whether it was the seat race, I don't know whether it was the erg score, because at that point we were doing 6-minute tests on Guessings, which, Guessing ergs, I think that's what it's called, this orange beast of a machine. I haven't seen many of them around, but I don't know whether it was the erg score, I don't know whether it was the seat race, but I ended up making the junior national team. And I think it took some wise words from my father to remind me of everything that I have done. And just when I felt exhausted and ready to give up, he taught me that there was always more, and to always acknowledge how far you've come to get to a certain point. So if you've made it this far in the video, maybe you're at a point in your life where you're tired, and maybe you're bringing a product to market, maybe you're training for a race, maybe you're whatever that is you're doing, and know that hopefully I can pass this on to you, and this will give you the inspiration and give you the strength and the inner courage to continue to persevere, because often we're swimming and the shore seems a long way away, and maybe the shore is closer than you think. And so I just wanted to share that story with you on this important day, October 31st, 2008, and just hope that makes an impact to you, to your life. And I'll see you in the next video. I promise the next video won't be quite so deep and somber, but just felt like I needed to say these things and get them out, if nothing else, for myself to process, and to keep living a good life and be a good father to my kid. I'll see you on the next video, and if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe or like the video, and if you've got a comment, I'd love to hear from you. See you soon.